Students, welcome to the UVS class. In today's session, under the chapter of air, we are going to study what is air, what is the components of the air, what is the uses of the air, what are the properties of the air, how we are going to feel the air, isn't it? And what is meant by the air pollution, and what are the effects of the air pollution, and how we are going to prevent the air pollution. That all points we are going to discuss in today's session. Okay, so I will start the air session, the lesson, that is air. So when we are going to arise every morning, if you have the habit to go walking or go outside, so what do you feel? You feel the coldness of the environment, isn't it? And remember or imagine that you are present in a bus, isn't it? You are present in a bus. So when the bus starts to move, if you are going to open the window of the bus, what happen? What do you feel? You feel the speed of the very high speed air, isn't it? You felt the speed of the air, isn't it? Then another one case I am considering here, when the big air is moves, the big air or the speed, the very fast air will come. So what happens? The leaves of the plants are going to be fluttered in a very high ratio, isn't it? So that's all we are going to study, that all we are going to give us, that all are going to feel us the presence of the air. Then what is air? So we will study now. The earth is surrounded by the layers of the air, that is called as the atmosphere. So when we are going to see the atmosphere of the earth, the air is present in a different layers. In a different layers, the earth has a different air is present than that total the total different types of the layers of the air, that is called as a atmosphere. So how we are going to feel the air, how we are going to feel that air is present here. So in the earth's surface, if we are going to say the living beings are living now due to the presence of the air. Why? Because for the living organisms, air is the most essential element here. Why? Because all the living beings has one condition, or all the living being has one characteristic, that is nothing but the respiration. In the respiration process, we must use the oxygen, and the oxygen, where it is present, that is present in the air. And also the plants also, they are going to respire and they are going to use the oxygen which is present in the air. Therefore the air is the most essential element which the living beings are going to be wanted, or it is very wanted or essential element. So how we are going to feel the presence of the air? When the roofs of the houses are carried away by the strong winds. That's, for example, if the very force air will becomes, what happens at the rainy season? What happens? The air is with the speed of the air, is very fast, and what happen at that time? If your house has the roofs, what happen? Due to the very high speed of air, the roofs are go away or blown away, isn't it? That shows the presence of the air. And the cloths are flutter. If you are going to spread the cloths after washing the cloths in the outside, if air will comes, what happens? They are going to flutter, isn't it? That shows the presence of the air. Or remember or imagine that you are sitting opposite to a fan. What happens? What you are going to feel? First you have to check, your clothes are going to be flutter due to the air which comes from the fan, isn't it? That shows the presence of the air. And another one thing, your hairs are going to be flutter due to the air come from the fan. That also shows the presence of the air, and that shows we feel the presence of the air, isn't it? And so then what are the components of the air? You have to remember here, air is the mixture of many gases, n number of gases. There are when different types of the gases are present. And what are those? What are the components of the air? What are the different gases present in the air? So the air is in the air 78% of the nitrogen is present. You have to remember the big amount of the gas which is present in the air, it is nothing but the 78% of nitrogen gas is present. Our air has 78%, the big amount, it is a very high range. We have to clear here. So air contains very high percentage of the nitrogen, that is nothing but 78% of the nitrogen is present in the air, and 21% of the oxygen is present in the air. So the oxygen, most required element for the living beings, that is nothing but the oxygen, and the nitrogen is also required for the plants. We have to remember here the oxygen, that is the percentage of the oxygen which is present in the air, it is nothing but 21%. The 21% of oxygen which is present in the air, it is most essential for the living beings for the respiration, and about 0.04% of carbon dioxide is present. So the very least percentage, the very least percent of the element which is present in the air, that is nothing but the carbon dioxide, that is it present only 0.04% in the air, and about 0.96% of the dust particles are present. So when you are going to see the components of the air, what are the components of the air here? Nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide, and dust particles. So these are the main components of the air. In your examination, the 2 marks question should be asked on this. Write down the components of the air. So what are the components of the air? Nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide, and other dust particles. You have to remember, and you have to remember the percentage of the components of the air. We have to remember here the 78% of nitrogen is present, 21% of oxygen is present, 0.04% of carbon dioxide is present, and 0.96% of dust particles is present. So this is all about the components of the air. What are the components of the air present in the components are present in the air? Because air is a mixture of gases. So what are the mixture, that mixture contains? That is nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide, and dust particles. Then we come to know here, we feel the air, isn't it? And also we know here what are the different types of the components are present in the air. Then what are the properties of the air? Then what is the property? So we see here. First, I am going to start the properties of the air by activity, isn't it? See, you have to take 2 balloons. You have to take 2 balloons. Before blowing, you have to place in a white paper sheet. You have to place in a white paper sheet, and using the pencil, you have to draw the outer surface of the balloons. 2 balloons. They are just look like this, isn't it? 2 balloons before blowing. Now you have to blow the balloons. You have to draw the balloons with using pencil, the outer structure of the balloon before blowing, and you have to blow the balloon first. With any one balloon you have to take and you have to blow. What happens here? When you are going to blow the balloon, its size will be increases, isn't it? Its size will be increases, and then you have to, using the pencil, you have to place that balloon in that white paper, and you have to draw the outer structure of the balloon. So it is very bigger than the balloon which would not blow here. So what shows here? What is present in the blowed balloon? What is present in the blowed balloon? That is, air is present in the blowed balloon, but air is not present. The air is present, but so much of air is not present in the not blowed balloon. So what shows here? When you are going to draw the picture of the balloon that wouldn't blow, so it is very small in size. But when you are going to draw the balloon which is blowed, that is, the size of that balloon is very big. What happens? What is present in that balloon? There is nothing is present, but air is present. So it shows that it occupies the space which is present in the balloon, isn't it? The air air occupies the space which is present in the balloon. So that is the first property of the air. Air occupies a space, isn't it? So in the room also air is present. For example, under one example I am taking, take two glasses, take two glass, or take one glass, take one glass, and you have to suddenly dip you have to suddenly dip the glass into the water. You have to suddenly dip the glass into the water with some pressure, not tilt it. Straightly you have to put that glass into the water, and you have to stick a paper inside that glass. You have to stick a paper inside it, and you have to place that glass inside the under one tumbler that contains the water. Here the tumbler contains water. You have to put that glass invertedly into the tumbler which contains water in a straight direction. Don't tilt it. So and then suddenly you have to open that, and you have to see the paper. Is it any difference is present in the paper? Is it the paper will be wetted here? No, paper will not wetted. And water doesn't goes to the water, it doesn't goes and touch the paper which is present in the glass. And now you have to take the same glass and put that glass into that tumbler, but by somewhat tilting. What happens when you are going to put that glass inside the tumbler? By tilting, the small bubbles are coming here. The small bubbles are coming here. That is nothing but the air. The air is present in the glass will be comes out, and water will be occupies the space here, the space which is present in the glass. And remove that glass from the water and see now what happens in the condition of the paper. The paper will completely wet here. Why? What happens in the first case? The paper will not wet, the water will doesn't goes into the glass, but in second case the water will completely goes into the glass and the paper will be wetted due to the water. So what happened here? Why it is totally different? Why? Because when you are going to place the glass very straight into the water, the air which is present in the glass that occupies here, and that doesn't allow the water to occupy the space, because it is the space is not present, because this space is occupied by the air, and the other space will be occupied by the water, and that water doesn't touches the paper which is present in the glass. But when you are going to put that glass by tilting slightly, what happens? The air is present in the glass will comes out in the form of bubbles, and the water will completely occupies the space which is present in the glass. So that shows us the air occupies the space. What happens? Air occupies the space. It is the first property of the air. And second one, air as a weight. So you are taking the two balloons here, and you have to tie the two balloons. One, you have to tie the not blowed balloon to the one side of the stick, and you have to tie the blowed balloon into the other end of the stick. And you have to what happen? You have to hang that stick to any nail which is present, or you have to hang in your hand. What happens here? The which side of the stick will be comes down here? Is it the side which contains the not blowed balloon will comes, or the side which has a blowed balloon will comes down? So exactly that the side which has the blowed balloon will comes down. What shows here why it is comes down? Because it has a air, and air has a somewhat weight, isn't it? So that shows the another one property, air has a weight. And next, air helps things to burn. So now I am considering another one activity here. Light two candles. Light two candles. Imagine that these are candles. Light two candles. Light two candles and put one glass invertedly. Put one glass invertedly on one candle. You have to remember this glass should be a transparent glass, isn't it? It is made by the glass, and you have to observe for the few minutes what happened. The candle which is present outside the glass will glow continuously. But what happens here, after some times the candle which is present inside the glass will be off here. Why it is off and why it is glows for some times? Why? Because when you are going to place a glass invertedly on the candle, the air which is somewhat present in the glass will help for glow the candle for some time. After complete utilization of the air which is present inside the glass, the candle will be light off here, because air is not present, but outside the air is present and the candle will be continuously glows. So that shows here air helps the things to burn. If there is no air, there is anything will doesn't burn here, any fuel will be doesn't burn. So the fuel needs the air to burn. So these are the three properties of the air, that is, air occupies the space, air has a weight, air helps things to burn. These are the most important properties of the air. Then what are the uses of the air? So what are the uses of the air? As I told already, the oxygen which is present in the air, that is the most essential elements for us and the living organisms like animals and also for the plants. All the animals utilizes the air for respiration, and also the plants are also use the air for the respiration, and also the plants utilizes the air for in the process of photosynthesis to produce the food material, isn't it? The plants are going to utilize the carbon dioxide and also the air to prepare the food in the presence of the sunlight, and that process it is known as the photosynthesis. Therefore the air is very essential element here. And also air gives some of the chemicals, that is like the nitrogen which is present in the air. It is helpful for the plants. The plants doesn't get this nitrogen directly from the air, but they are going to get the nitrogen from by the other carriers, isn't it? But that is also one of the most important component which is present in the air, that will be helps the plants and the living organisms. That are uses of the air here. Then air pollution. But when you are going to see the chimneys of the factories, isn't it? So you have to observe clearly here, in the cities number of vehicles are present. That vehicles they are going to remove some of the dust particles, isn't it? They releases some of the dust particles. That dust particles causes the air pollution. What is air pollution here? So what happens, what does the factories releases large amount of the chemical wastes or waste gases into the air. That chemical gases will mix up with the air, and that causes some of the diseases, and that causes large differences, and that causes some of the effects on the human beings, and also effects on the plants and living organisms. So this process it is called it as that air pollution. What is air pollution? Mixing chemical dust to microorganisms which are harmful to the man and other organisms into the air, it is called it as a air pollution. The mixing up of impurities or chemical waste from the factories, and also some of the microorganisms which are harmful to the humans and the animals, and also for the plants, into the air, that is called it as air pollution. The mixing up of waste materials or harmful materials into the air, that is called it as a air pollution. What are the causes? Which causes the air pollution here? It is nothing but the air pollution it is due to the mixing up of the large chemical wastes the chemical gas which come from the factories. If you are going to see near the factories, factories have a large tall chimneys. From the chimneys, the black colored smoke will come from that chimneys. That smoke has number of chemicals, a number of chemical gases. They are very harmful to the human beings and the living beings, so that causes the air pollution. And the smoke come from the vehicles. You are going to use the fuel like petrol and diesel to the vehicles, and that releases smoke, and that is also causes the air pollution here. And also sometimes we are going to burn the materials, waste materials which comes in the field, isn't it? For example, the paddy field, the waste of the paddy, the farmer is going to burn after the use, after they get the grains of the paddy from the field. That the burning of that waste materials in the field, that also causes the air pollution here. So these are the main reasons why the air pollution going to be happen here. But what are the effects of the air pollution? What are the effects of the air pollution on them on the man and also on the living organisms? Air pollution causes some of the health issues. Air pollution causes by breathing of the polluted air, and it causes the cancer also, and it causes some of the breathing problems, isn't it? And it affects a negative effect on the plants, isn't it? Why? Because the plants are also going to get the air, the plants are also going to utilize the air for the respiration process. Due to the air pollution, the carbon dioxide percentage, that is here 0.04%, if it increases, it affects more on the living organisms. Is it clear? So it acts negative impact on the growth of the plant, and also the air pollution affects on the yield of the plant, isn't it? The yield of the grains. The farmer are going to saw many things in the fields. The air will be polluted. If the plants are going to take the air which is polluted, that affects yield of that plants which is present in the field. So these are the main important effects of the air pollution here. Then how we are going to prevent the air pollution? If it continues, if the number of the factories are increases, if the amount of the smoke comes from the factory increases, air will be polluted more. And if the number of the vehicles which we are going to use, if it is increases, the smoke comes from the vehicle, the black colored smoke come from the vehicle, that is also increases, and that causes the air pollution. But what are the preventions? How we are going to control the air pollution? So first step is preventing the discharge of chemical waste from the factories. So we have to prevent the discharge of chemical gases. We have to control the discharge of chemical gases from the factories, isn't it? We have to attach any material, we have to attach some of the electronic materials in the chimneys which they are going to control the release of the chemical gases. Then if the chemical gases are not released to the atmosphere, air will be not polluted. So first step is preventing the discharge of chemical waste from the factories. And second is installing tall chimneys. As possible, the chimneys of we are going to see the chimneys in the factories, they are very tall. Why? Because due to control the air pollution, the smoke will be released at the higher part of the earth's surface, and that smoke doesn't come towards the earth's surface, and so it doesn't affects on the living beings. And third one is using gaseous fuels. So if we are going to use the liquid fuels like a diesel, petrol, that must releases, or a kerosene, that must releases the smoke here, large amount of the smoke. And also by using gaseous fuels, if we are going to use the gas, from the gas, if gas burns, there is no smoke, it doesn't produce a smoke. So that also controls the air pollution. And designing emission control system. So we have to design different types of the emission control systems, electronic emission control systems for the vehicles. we have to clear here by designing different types of the emission control systems for the vehicles and using public transport. See here, as the own transport increases, if see here we are having we are having our own vehicles, our bikes, cars, isn't it? But nowadays for the all places the government buses are present. If we are going to use the government buses, then there is a no need to buy the own vehicles. So if we are going to use our own vehicle, what happens? The number of the vehicles are increases. So I am also having own vehicle. If I am not using the public transport or the government buses, then I should use my own vehicle. So that's like you are all using own vehicle. Then what happens? The public bus will also run in the same condition, and also all the vehicles are also going to be run. What happens here? The smoke coming from that vehicles will causes the air pollution. But if we control the use of the own vehicles, if we are going to use the government buses or the public transport, then we are going to control the air pollution here. Then using alternative energy sources, for example, so nowadays if it is very essential to use own vehicles, then what happens here? We are going to take the vehicles of the solar energy or the vehicles of the battery electrical charge batteries. So what happens? There is no presence of the diesel and petrol, or they are not going to utilize the diesel and petrol, and they doesn't releases the any gases. So we have to use alternative energy source. The diesel and petrol, it is the one energy source which the vehicles are going to be utilized. But if we are going to replace that by the solar energy or electrical battery energy, then they doesn't remove any, doesn't releases any gases here, and they doesn't causes any air pollution. So these are the main important prevention steps which we are going to utilize, which we are going to use to control the air pollution. So this is all about the air, what are the components of the air, what are the uses of the air, what are the properties of the air, what is the air pollution, and how we are going to prevent the air pollution, and what are the effect of the air pollution. And this completes your another one important lesson, air. In the next session we are going to continue your new lesson. Thank you.